the original Season 5, Episode 6, What Will I Have Left? So, this, of course, is the episode that I would say kind of brings in that final season syndrome where somebody has to go and it's kind of inevitable. I will say that I was at least somewhat happy. There was admittedly a silver lining because I thought for sure it was just going to be this is that super sad moment where the villains, they don't get the complete win because somehow, they'll escape in that last moment. But, of course, they'll end up winning and then you're at least getting that one victory by killing Haley, and then it would continue on from there because somehow I don't know, maybe Caroline would have helped him out or something, which I don't know where she was during that fight. I don't know why she didn't run past him because that would have distracted Elijah, which would have allowed Klaus to win. So I thought that was super weird that she was suddenly just missing because I was like, she definitely could have helped even if she couldn't fight Elijah. They were in the same car unless I totally missed something, and I don't know. But definitely a silver lining in the fact that in that final moment, Haley was able to, rip the finger off of Greta, and so she rips the finger off with the ring, and then she bursts through the door, and they both end up setting on fire and just instantly dying. And I was like, man, that sucks, because I thought it was going to be this cool moment where Haley was able to kind of take her down, and maybe she, it doesn't really matter because unfortunately she died, but it was just one of those things where even if she survived, maybe Elijah would have killed her or something like that. But it was just like, man, that sucks that that's how it kind of had to happen. And I was thinking the whole time, in all honesty, before Greta showed up, I was like, why doesn't she take the ring off of Roman's finger? That's the first thing I thought when it was like, she's basically just a vampire now, which I didn't know that's what the binding spell would do. They didn't say oh, she'll only become a vampire. They said she won't be able to make hybrids. I thought it was very specific because it's magic. It tends to be that specific sometimes. And then it was like, yep, she's just a vampire. I was like, oh, I didn't know it did that. They made it seem like the binding spell was just it cuts off that very specific ability, but she can still kind of go. She can't, just make hybrids. That was the thing. And it was like, no, it specifically suppresses the werewolf thing, which I probably missed. I'm sure they explain that a bunch, actually, but every time I guess I was paying attention, they just said, yeah, it's a binding spell, so you can't make hybrids. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that meant it was wiping away the, werewolf side. So that surprised me when that even came up, and I was like, oh, I didn't think that was the case. I thought they were just suppressing that side or suppressing that ability for those characters. But interesting ending, and they kind of went the way I expected. They did lead into the fight with Klaus versus Elijah, and they are officially leading into the main villain being Elijah, which I basically predicted in the very beginning, where I was like, well, with him not having his memories and stuff like that, and then them fighting, it was like, I think he might end up being the main villain, which ends up being the case because Greta, who was the main villain, has been killed off with Haley. And so it's like, well, Roman doesn't really want to, he didn't even know, he was like the oblivious kid who was just like, oh, we're just getting rid of that so we can do, keep things in order. He didn't realize that they were there to be killed. So, Elijah's going to be taking over, and apparently they're just killing people in broad daylight because he's talking about guns up. They're just assaulting the town and stuff. So I don't know what to expect in the next episode, but it should be interesting how the rest of the season plays out with Elijah being the main villain and how that's going to work with Antoinette. And I mentioned before, I thought Klaus was going to kill her before, and I think he'll definitely kill her now. And I just don't know how that's going to work. I don't know if they'll give Elijah his memories back. Just, there are a lot of questions. So I'm excited to see where this goes. Sucks that Haley died. That's, like I said, it's that final season syndrome. Somebody has to die. That's been a main character. That's just how final seasons go. In all honesty, somebody has to die. That's been there from the beginning, or at least for a super long time. You've been there for 3 or 4 seasons. Final season, you just gotta go. That is how pretty much every series with those sort of consequences go, where people can die. That's just how it goes. People just do, and especially in the Vampire Diaries, people dropping like flies. So you never know who's who's really gonna live and who's gonna die. But definitely a fun episode. I certainly enjoyed it. It just sucks to see a character go. I thought they were gonna, kind of get out of it and everything, and then it's like, nope, Haley is gone. But they killed Greta, who I think I said this in the first episode. They made her unlikable from the very beginning, so I did not care at all. I was like, cool. I'm fine that she's gone, and it makes it more entertaining because now Elijah's going to be the main villain, and we'll see how he changes with Antoinette kind of coming into the fold and her mother being dead, and how he wants to protect her, and her decisions of going against the against the rest of the family versus just staying out of the whole situation. So I'm looking forward to how they kind of have these characters play out. They did have a cool moment with Vincent where we find out that the guy who's of course running the bar now is actually like Cammy's cousin, so that stopped Vincent from kind of revealing everything and kind of including him. It's like, oh, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do this to this family again. So he backed out of that decision that he thought was really good, but it was like, the one driving force he had, which was, my friend Cammy got killed because of all this. When he finally decides, all right, I'm gonna include him, we're gonna have him, as a part of the fold, that trigger comes right back, and it's like, well, I can't possibly do that because it's her cousin. So I thought that was a cool little moment, and we'll see if that's good or not. Because the guy said like, "Oh, I'm leaving to go to my mom's for her birthday tomorrow," and it's like, we'll see what happens. He might not make it. I'm just saying. So we'll see how that ends up playing out when he finds out Haley, ended up dying. So that's one of the other, that's one of those smaller elements where I'm just like, how's that gonna affect things? Like he's that minor, obviously brand new character, but he can have an effect. So I'm curious how it'll play out. But all in all, definitely a fun episode. Just a sad ending. But of course, would love to know what you guys thought about it. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, your least favorite parts about it. And I would love to know how you guys are feeling, of course, about the death of Haley. And I want to know your predictions for where things are headed with Klaus, versus Elijah. And Elijah working with Greta's family and like her whole, vampires are like the alpha predators, or they should be the alpha predators crew. I would love to know your predictions on how that stuff is going to end up playing out. But like I said, definitely want to know how you guys are feeling and what you thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.